you are seeing more individuals, right, with
Correct.
detainers placed on them.
Yes.
What do you think's going on?
Well, I think what we've seen, and I think it's pretty clear by the data, is that we've seen the detainers triple in the last 3 years. We were in the 30s a couple of years ago. We exceeded 100 in 2024. To me, that means there are more people illegally in the Commonwealth committing crimes.
9 child rapists that were in jail in Massachusetts.
So sheriffs can't hold someone who's been bailed out of their jail. The next logical question is there a standard bail set for people charged with child rape in Massachusetts? We went back into those ICE press releases to find out. Take this man, arrested by ICE in February. He was charged with 3 counts of rape of a child by force in 2022. He posted his $7,500 bail at Essex Superior Court and was released on a condition of staying in his residence. Or this ICE arrestee, charged with aggravated rape of a child. He was released from Lawrence District Court on $7,500 bail with a GPS monitoring device. Finally, this man. He was charged with indecent assault and battery on a person over 14 and assault to rape. He was released without bail, but with a GPS monitoring device. All of these cases are ongoing, and none of these men have been convicted. Does that seem like an appropriate bail amount?
Well, it doesn't.
I mean, this is insane. And how is this legal? Are judges and prosecutors intentionally bypassing federal immigration enforcement, Shelley?
Yes, they are. Many of these judges, particularly at the federal levels, they are upholding or protecting these laws, these sanctuary cities, or whatever you want to call them. They are. And it's legal, KJ, to your point, the bail. Remember, you only have to pay about 10% of whatever the bail amount is. So $750 coming up is probably pretty easy. They all the family member puts that $10 or $20 and you got $750 for bail. But these judges, the attorneys, if you will, the legislatures in these states who are protecting these pedophiles, these criminals, these murderers, they have hell to pay on their hands. They should. I hope there is an oven waiting for them as well. These people are coming into our country illegally, aliens, and they are running and causing so much havoc and crime and heartache. We need to get them out. Thank God for Tom Homan.
Absolutely.
Thank God for Donald Trump in office and Kristi Noem and
Pam Bondi.
Pam Bondi,
Yes,
right.
absolutely.
I thank God for them.
Cash.
Exactly.
Yeah.
These
Pete
people,
Bishop.
yes, all of them,
Don
yes.
from Dan Bongino.
Absolutely. That's right. We got the whole administration. That's
Yeah.
right.
I mean, those are our
Yes.
top cops.
Yes.
Yeah, those are
Yes.
our top cops.
These people need to be rounded up. And I think not just deported, but they should be held for a long time for the crime that they committed first. And then I know we have to pay for them, but we got to give them 3 hots and a cot.
Well,
okay,
you can
fine.
send them right to El Salvador.
Well,
There
there
you
you
go.
go.
And I was
There you
about
go.
to say, let's
Yeah.
not lock them up in our
There you
luxury
go.
prisons.
Oh, that's a good point.
Let's send them
That's
back
right.
to their
Or
nation.
Guantanamo Bay.
Did you see when those guys got off the airplane in
I
El
saw-
Salvador?
I watched it.
That
I
was
stayed up
great.
watching
First
it.
of all, I couldn't even tell you what they looked like because they were jamming their head.
Yeah, they had to hit
so
there. They looked like
low.
they were afraid. Yeah,
And then the
they
one guy had a beard. They were like, "Oh no!" They shaved his beard, shaved his head, his mustache,
And then you didn't even see this, but they cut the camera.
Uh-oh.
They took him in the back and shaved his balls in
Yeah,
the back
yeah.
and behind.
made them baby smooth for them dudes who's waiting. Let me tell you,
Oh, Lord.
Bubba waiting on them.
Don Lemon might want to go there.
From the tutor to the shooter. Was it tutor to the
from the wait.
Don Lemon might
From the
like
rooter to the tutor.
Rooter to the tutor. Rooter to the tutor. But back to this, I want to know, is this a direct violation of public safety or just a natural consequence of sanctuary city policies?
You know, there's really no such thing as a sanctuary
That's
city.
true.
What this is the way the Democrats are saying we're going to be lawless and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. But what's happening across the nation is the outcry for Trump to turn off all of their federal funding. If they don't want to participate like the rest of the states, he has the right to say, oh, no.
Exactly.
You don't get any of our collective money.
Right.
You want to be a rogue, be a rogue. Turn the money off. Other places are seeing people who've self-deported. You know, one of my offices is in a heavily Hispanic area, and it's almost pleasant there now. I mean, there's nobody selling coconuts on the side of the road or any of that. All of that has been people who've moved on
Right.
for whatever reason. Maybe they are moving to the sanctuary areas where it's a little bit safer for them.
What I think what many Americans are ultimately saying is this: You elected officials, unelected bureaucrats, you do not have the authority nor the right, no moral right, no political right, no legal right to take the money that we pay in taxes and use it against us.
Right.
And put our people, our families and children's lives in danger. You don't have that right by zero authority. So we do not, we no longer will support it, and we will use legal means, if you will, through this Trump administration to take back the power that rightfully belongs to us anyway. This has to stop. These judges, and but speaking of these judges, like this judge that's Boasberg, I think his name is.
The activist judges. Yeah.
I think more judges. We need to have more transparency on judges. I really do. I'm not for overturning the Supreme Court as far as expanding it. That's not what I'm talking about. But even we didn't talk about this a little bit. Justice Roberts, Boasberg, all of these judges. I don't care who put them in office, but we need to have a little bit more transparency.
What transparency do you need?
Number one, who they are. Some of them are elected, some of them are appointed, things like that. But we need to have. I don't know to what degree or how it's going to play out, but the people, we have three co-equal branches of judgment, of government, three co-equal branches. One of them is not over top of the other. So when a judge gives or upholds, I'm going to use this word, illegal order, if you will, why are the other two branches bound to, honor that? No, they're co-equal. It's not father, mother, child, or whatever, or dependent. And, no, they're co-equal. So in those places, then the other branches, particularly Congress, need to stand up and say, nope, not going to happen. This is not a lawful order. We're going to play the checks and balances game. We need to have more of that.
I think we are. I don't agree with many of these activist judges. Number one. In order to fix that, I think a lot of times, at least here in Maryland, when you vote for judges, you don't know anything about these people. So I would like some transparency there, where if they would provide, I don't know, some type of information about their past decisions and things like that. Now, as far as the three branches of government, I think it's working how it's supposed to work. Now, I remember when Biden was in office and he made the OSHA thing, or he was doing all these executive orders, and the judges came in and corrected it and said, hey, you've gone too far. There were judges that did this, and we agreed. So I think when it comes to these executive orders, it is the courts are interpreting it based off of the law, whether or not this is. But
you said the key. You said activist judges. Well, that's the activists. Many of these judges, again, in my never to be humble opinion, many of these judges are activists. They are not, at least, again, they're not going necessarily by the law. It's about, you don't know who you're going to get. It's like a hit, a bat and ball. So they're not necessarily going by the standard and the structure of the law. They're going by, I agree with this person's politics and I agree with this. So every year, every season, every session, you don't know what you're going to get. So our laws are like this and the judges are like this. So it's like watching a tennis match.
The truth of the matter is our law is our law.
Right.
It's black and white law. But what you often hear these judges say, well, the spirit of the law, the way I interpret the law, and I think that's the problem.
And most
politically
on the left.
Politically, and when Joe Biden's term was coming to a grateful end, thank you, Jesus, there were a lot of district judges and federal judges who needed to be, appointed. And they pushed them through with very little oversight. And I think that's the problem. When we talk about the three co-equal branches of government, one of these branches has let us down tremendously.
I think all of them.
Listen,
but Congress definitely.
Let me tell you, they're so busy TikToking and making, content. I need you all to come to work and be about your business.
Exactly.
Be about your, who's good at that? Josh Hawley.
I like Jim Jordan.
I like Jim Jordan.
Like Josh Hawley's my guy.
I like Kennedy.
Senator Kennedy will crack you up. Yeah. I love Ted Cruz. I love Mike Lee. These are fairly red-pilled people. Yeah. But when we're talking about either side, just being a good American, not a red-pilled person or a liberal person, just being a good American, we need Congress to step into that job.
That's what I say. Congress is the bulk of it.
when people say presidents are writing too many executive orders, that's because Congress is not doing their job.
Exactly. Just like now, President Trump, yes, he's written a number of executive orders, but Congress should be working busy to make some of these executive orders into law.
This new big bill coming through. Looks like the Republicans are going to be able to pass President Trump's big bill.
Right.
This is supposed to be coming
but
through.
you heard what you said, President Trump's big bill, right? This
Congress should be doing. This is stuff they should be doing.
This is our bill.
Right.
This is our bill. This is what we worked on. You know, I love that President Trump is handing them their lunch so they can eat it. But at some point, they're going to have to stand up, put their big boy panties on, and handle their business.